The winter is something I like to put it in a short video. Imagine I was really dating Michael Jackson. We live in a house. I am out of my mother's body. Michael Jackson is out of Katherine Jackson's body. My father is out of his mother. Joe Jackson is out of his mother. But my body is my mother's body, and Katherine Jackson is Joe Jackson. Picture Katherine Jackson one day pregnant and my mother one day pregnant. They met each other. They sitting, they talking. The time when my mother was one day pregnant, Katherine Jackson was one day pregnant. There was a 38 years of age in the world. There was a 50 years old in the world. They met each other. They talking to each other. They said, "Oh, where you come from?" And then Katherine Jackson said, "Well, I'm from America. I'm just here on vacation to Sierra Leone. I want to buy some diamond." And then they like each other. My mother is calling Katherine Jackson, but they don't even know they're 1 month pregnant. And then 9 months later, my mother have me. 9 months later, Katherine Jackson have Michael Jackson. You just don't understand. Katherine Jackson have Michael Jackson 1958. My grandmother have my mother 1958. So I'm not taking my grandmother because my grandmother is too old, but people don't understand. When Katherine Jackson was the little girl, my grandmother is old. It's because they kill Katherine Jackson. They give her baby body to look like she's young. But her mother was the same age as my grandmother. People need to understand how deep it goes. My grandmother was 53 pregnant. Katherine Jackson was young pregnant. Katherine Jackson was pregnant the same time my grandmother was pregnant with my mother's body. My mother became age 13 pregnant with me, but Michael Jackson was on the stage dancing age 13. He have a paycheck, $1 million. My mother don't. Now, my mother is walking around with the body that came out of my grandmother. My grandmother was very old. If you put my mother back inside my grandmother will be the one that is having me. You understand? If my mother was inside my grandmother for 13 years, what's the difference? My grandmother was 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66. They say, an old woman, she's 66, she's pregnant. And that baby is me. She called me Sally. But my mother came out because by the time my grandmother is 66, she's too old to take care of me. So she gets a body out and then 13 years later gets me out. You need to understand, the many children, it's not mother, it's the same body. The one you call your grandmother is actually your mother. It's only one body came out. It's like someone have a chicken, the chicken have a baby, and they kill the mother chicken, but then the chicken have another baby, but it's just a chicken. But by the human being, that's your grandmother, that's your mother. No, it's the same body going forward in time. So, Katherine Jackson is pregnant. She doesn't know my grandmother. My grandmother was pregnant. When my grandmother was 53, I don't call her my grandmother. But my mother, the baby, is now the 53. So, is my grandmother really dead? Or the woman I'm calling my mother today, she's actually my grandmother? You have to look how deep it goes. My mother was the 13. She was not the 53. My grandmother was the 53. But now my mother today, she's the 53. I call her on the phone, she's 53. But when she was the baby by my grandmother was the 53. So is my grandmother the 106? Or my grandmother was the 53 the day she had my mother? If I see a baby picture of my mother and I see my grandmother, the 53, holding my mother, doesn't it say they only telling you, or your grandmother gets old. But what was inside of her, the 53, is what inside my mother right now. But my mother is not having children, because the children what my mother supposed to have, she's smart. She have 5, and then she says to me, Sally, I have 5, you have to have 5. I cannot have the 10. My grandmother is the one that lost the 10 children. And now she's smart. Age 53, she have my mother. My mother say, okay, I only gonna have 5. You can help me to have the rest. And I'm the little girl, age 17. I have my brother, which I call my son. By the time I'm 35, I have 5 children. My mother have 5, I have 5. So the 10 my grandmother, I think, went to heaven. Me and my mother have them. So, understand, put my mother back in, put Michael Jackson back in Joe Jackson dick, the sperm, because people believe he makes the baby. Put the paint back in Joe Jackson and put Michael Jackson body back in Katherine Jackson. Where is Michael Jackson? Who was Michael Jackson? Who was the 50? There is more than 150 years of age in the world. If you cannot talk to all the 50 years old in this world, doesn't it say there is somebody that lives somewhere that have the most beautiful voice in the planet, but you will never get them in front of the microphone? It is very important that people understand. My grandmother is my mother. The only difference is if she doesn't get a second body for herself 53 years later, so she will still be the same woman I'm calling my mother. My grandmother cheats. And they know she cheats. And now when they know she cheats, they hijack the children. They told her die yesterday. Now we are all in Europe. We are stuck in Europe. If you understand, my mother will die. The children will stuck in Europe. I will die. The children will stuck in Europe. So many years ago, they tell my grandmother her children die. Many years later, she believes she have 13 grandchildren and great-grandchildren before she died. But she still die. She thinks she's going to meet the 10 children and her husband and her mother and father in heaven. My grandmother prayed to die every day because she thinks where her mother go, her father go, her children go, she thinks she's going to meet them in heaven. But she's right here in this world. The same way I don't know my grandmother when she was 66, when I was a 9-month-old baby. The same way I will not know her till she grew up in this world. She have a baby body for my mother again. My mother become that child. And then the body, what my grandmother have, become my mother. And that body out of my mother will become me again. Because my mother, her wind, is the stomach that have the clots. And whenever she will be pregnant again, I will be that child that's coming out of her. We travel together. So who is the Michael Jackson? Okay, let's back it up. Michael Jackson was not there. Michael Jackson came and Michael Jackson left. The 5 is already gone a long time ago. The 13 already gone. The 30 already gone. But it's on a video. They capture it. The music, the voice and everything. And now 50, he left the body. They say he left the body. So if the body was not there, he came in the body. And now he left the body. They have the body. They make a gravestone. Who is the Michael Jackson? Where did he went? And why 50 years later, my son will be the 55, above the age of Michael Jackson? It is very important that people notice how deep it goes. That Katherine Jackson is actually the Michael Jackson. The body. Why I decide to post this video, what the consciousness says to me. It is very sick, what I'm about to say. I say it sometime, but not so deep. Michael Jackson, the soul that sleep in the night, never masturbate. But if Michael Jackson is alive today, he is 50. When his dick stand, he touch himself, he give an orgasm. Who is Michael Jackson? Who is giving the orgasm? Who was making love to Katherine Jackson 50 years ago? Was it Michael Jackson or was it Joe Jackson? Joe Jackson still have his private part. Katherine Jackson still have her private part. Who puts the private part inside Katherine Jackson and then come out? Who is the sperm that lives inside Katherine Jackson's body? Is it Michael Jackson, the wind that sleep in the night? Is it Michael Jackson or is it Joe Jackson? If Joe Jackson was the 50, he know he was gonna be 60. He know he's gonna be 70, but he know he's 50 years of age, need a body to live in. But that 50 years live inside the Katherine Jackson body. What people need to understand, all women in this world that have a baby boy, your son is the only one that is making love to you, but your husband is not making love to you because your husband is making love to his mother body. Your husband is not your husband. He is the father-in-law. Your son is the sperm that came inside of you, which is what your husband is made of. He's just a sperm his father put in. And now he take the sperm out of his mother body and put it inside of you. And now he have your body as a baby boy. And when he's growing up, he's touching you. But you just can't see. When a son is coming up, his father is not the age anymore. You will never feel what your wife feel. Your wife is having a masturbation with her mother body. She, a woman become man. Inside of every woman that have a baby boy, there was a boy inside of her before they came out. What you call the boy, the structure, the dick, what you watching, you thinking the man is out there. The dick was in the woman's stomach. What came out, what going 6 feet, not the life. The life is an ordinary wind. You close the nose of a man, he is dead. You close the nose of a woman, he is dead. She's dead. You close the eyes, they're blind. What they made of, the lights that shows them everything, and the wind that drive the body. But the structure, what you call man and a woman, that structure live inside the woman. So if Michael Jackson is a structure that lives inside the woman body, what's the difference with the sister Latoya Jackson and the Janet that have the man structure inside of them, only they don't get it out? Katherine Jackson have 7 structure boys inside of her. 1 die, 6 alive. It is her body. Put all the boys back inside of her and take the sperm out of the boy, 1 drop, and put it back inside Joe Jackson. Who is the boys? Who have the structure? Who make the structure? The stomach of Katherine Jackson make the structure. So if the structure is real, but the video is only showing the shadow of the structure, does the shadow that make the body move, is it out there or inside the woman to make her get a masturbation? People need to understand the video you're watching, it's the structure that make a copy what they want to show on the video. If the video is still playing, the video is real, it's what you always see. You never see the body of the person, only the shadow. That shadow, it's big, it lives inside Janet Jackson, but only don't come out. 6 of them, because the body of Janet Jackson is actually Katherine Jackson. It's a photocopy. And all the boys is still inside of her, and all the masturbation she's having, only she's not printing nothing out this time. She have the sperm, what Joe Jackson paint, understand? I'm sorry for the language, but Joe Jackson is inside of Katherine Jackson that become Janet. Joe Jackson's sperm paints the vagina of Janet. Joe Jackson's sperm paints the vagina of Phoebe. When they masturbate, they actually making love to the mother and father that lives in the body till the body goes 6 feet. The relationship is not real when you live together because what you feel is only you.